Hello and welcome to the Utah Puck Report. I'm your host, Jay Stevens. Today, special co-host, guest host.
Perfect.
Yeah, whatever we want to call you. Evan Stoflet's in. We're going to rely on your hockey knowledge quite a bit today.
Okay.
Perfect.
That works.
And then it's been exciting because we've talked about it a lot on the weekly updates, and we've talked about UVU a lot, Utah Valley University, and it's good. Darin Peck is in today. Darin?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Head coach at UVU, and are you kind of the GM too?
I was the first year and a half. Now we actually assigned a GM this year. Okay. Miguel Pomar, and
is it a student GM or is it a?
It is actually not. He's actually works for BYU, so it's kind of interesting. But he helps us with our program, and he's been a major help. So
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right, so I want to get into. I'm sure Evan, you're going to formulate some questions as well, but I've got a bunch of stuff, and I want to talk to you about how you got into hockey, because that's one of the first things we ask every one of our guests, and we found that once we find out how you got into hockey, and that kind of tells us the rest of your mindset. We're learning more as we go. We can kind of see people's pathology, I guess. Their beginnings kind of tell where they're going to go.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So how did you get into hockey?
So I got into hockey, started with my mom, actually worked for Larry H. Miller. So we used to have season tickets right behind the bench to the Golden Eagles, clear back at the Salt Palace when I was just a kid growing up. Always wanted to play, but we never really got into it financially. And then lucky for us, we made a move, and the guy that lived across the street was the Bennetts. I don't know if you're familiar with them from back in the day, but he coached, and they had an outdoor rink, so I got involved with them playing a little bit and stuck around with that for a few years, and then I kind of came out of it until my oldest son was 5 years old and decided to play. So
that's about the time I met you.
Yep, and that was when Dustin was just 5-6 years old, started to play. So got involved with kind of helping with the TM issues there, just like helping run the team, and then went into coaching, and from there it's been nonstop for 14, 15 years now. So
yeah, so you start coaching. Were you guys with like the Junior Grizzlies the whole time, or did you bounce around from organizations?
Yeah, we kind of went around. The very first year we got into it, we were with County, with Chris Billiter over there at Accord. We got into it over there.
We got to have him on the show for sure.
Yeah, he's a good guy. So we got in over there, and that's where we started. Met Bryce Manick, the Manicks, and then that's where we kind of got rolled into the Grizzlies. We went into there, and once we got into that, then everyone started coming with us, our friends and that, and it became a good time for a lot of years. So
yeah, it was a lot of years.
Yeah, it was fun. And
it's funny. Everybody has their own group that you kind of grow up with, and then you see them go off and do whatever. But for us, so the Manicks were there when I was growing up as kids, and now we're all there as parents, and it's just funny. And now we're all obviously watching Mason and seeing how he's doing. And he had a couple fights last week.
Did he?
Oh yeah,
that's good. Like some scrappy little guy.
Yeah,
perfect.
It's pretty good. And he's not because he's 5'9", I think. And he's fighting 6'3" guys, and
that's good. Just adds another dimension.
Yeah, I'll post a couple of those on because he had a couple pretty good tilts over the weekend.
I'll have to text him.
So it's give him some advice.
Not the best fighter. But
I think about your fight with Nate Thompson every time I see him play, because I'm surprised to still see him in the NHL and doing well. And I'll never forget sitting on the bench when you were fighting him. Mm-hmm. And it was during the NHL lockout. Evan picks a fight with an NHL fighter. And,
things happen, right?
All right.
They get in the middle. The ref starts breaking it up, and doesn't he look at you and be like, "I'm not done," or "We're not finished"? Or,
probably.
I was sitting on the bench going, "Uh-oh, this could go wrong." All right, so you coach for, like me, I think it was like 15 to 17 years. I ended up just coaching little guys.
Yeah.
As our little guys get bigger.
Yep.
And then how do you go from that to coaching a university?
I think that was more or less, as much as I'd love to say I'm a skilled coach, I think it was more or less kind of the luck of the draw, really. I coached for a while and then stepped down and was focusing more on my business part and was still helping with Riverton High School and helping there. And then I got a call one day. My oldest son was recruited by UVU, so he was playing there. And I got a phone call about a month or two into the season just asking if I would be interested in coming to head coach, and that they were looking for a new coach, had a couple issues come up. And so I told them, let me think about it. They told me I had about 2 hours because practice was that night, so I need to make a decision.
Take all the time you want. Just be there in 2 hours.
Yeah. So obviously, how can you pass on an opportunity like that? It's kind of just lucky and a dream come true in reality. Obviously it's clubs, so you're not getting a lot of money and you're not getting rich, but for the love of the game, it's awesome. It's a whole new level, and so since there, it's been great.
But so that's a couple months into the first season. So was last year the first season?
No, the year before.
The year before. Okay.
Yep. This will be my second year full season.
So you take over a team, and you and I were talking a little bit before we went on the air, and I've been through this, the building years of a team, and I was telling you, I came from a pretty solid organization or junior college where there were prospects, and then they're like, hey, I got the full court press from locals that, hey, we're going to have 4 teams in Utah, and you have to come here. Like, if you're from Utah, you should come back and help us build a team. And I picked Weber, and I loved it there. But, man, those first couple of years of building a team, you take whoever you can get. And you hope that you've got guys in university that are from maybe another country, like Canada, Sweden, something. You're hoping you've got guys that can play the game. And at Weber, our first year, we didn't. And I was telling you, our first game was against University of Colorado, and it's the first game my wife ever saw me play.
Wow.
And she's hearing, the coach is telling her, oh, we're so glad he came here and whatever. And I faced 104 shots.
Wow.
That day. And I lost, I think we lost 14 zip.
Wow.
And
It's
I'm
not
like,
that bad with that many shots.
I was going to say, that's pretty good goaltending.
well,
Jay.
at some point, the Colorado's got to be like, hey, just see if you can hit the crossbar, right? Instead of trying to score on me, because I'm giving up. I think we only had 14 shots, and some of them were like we just dumped it from our end, and they happened to go on net. So I've been there, and you got to tell me, what was your first game as the coach? And did you have a full roster for that game?
No, that first year was crazy. I kind of came into it, and like I say, our first game was I came in and coached. I believe it was a Tuesday, so I had 2 practices before our first game, and we played Western Colorado, which is a D3 club, and we actually ended up pulling off. Actually, it wasn't them. We actually played Western Washington, and my very first coaching game, I actually won. And then it went on a dry spell from there for a long time. So I think the guys were just excited to see a change and everything else, and so I think they played hard. But it was rough after that. We faced a lot what you're talking about. We would play BYU and Weber and these guys, and we were taking 18-0 losses. We were getting outshot 70-0. Yeah. Last year we was able to close gaps. We brought the gaps into single digits finally, and then this year, the last time we played Weber it was 10-3, and our last game against BYU was 4-1. So we've made major strides in the short time, but it is recruiting is a hard tool, and especially at club level, they don't offer a lot for out of country players. That's something we're working on right now at UVU, is working with the administration department to allow. We have a lot of Canadians that want to come play here. I get so many videos from Russians and Europe players that want to come here, but trying to get the visa process and everything else is a lot of work. So we're trying to figure that out. But yeah, we've been in those games that you're talking about where there's not much you can do, but try to find anything positive to keep the heads up on the guys. And
that's tough too, because as you go through that, you have a lot of pride coming into the season, and maybe whatever team you came from before, you have to be decent to play college, even club, and then you usually come from winning, and now you're on a program that you're losing double digits, and we had a hard time retaining players. Our best players were going to quit.
Yeah.
And we had a hard time retaining those players, and then it was my full-time job on campus was recruiting. We had Kiyoshi Rujin, who now he's been there ever since, but he would not play the first year. And I was offered everything I could under the sun to get that guy to play on the team. And then you have guys that it's tough to get guys to stay when you're losing.
For sure.
But as you get more guys, as your program stays, and a thing like Utah Valley University is it's kind of undercover. Maybe a lot of people don't know what a great university it is, and it's now the largest university in the state, and you've got so many degrees. I was telling you, every firefighter that I know has to go through UVU for something.
Yeah,
and so that's one of those that'll eventually help you with recruiting. And once these students, because a lot of times you have kids that just want to play hockey, they don't even care about the university, but some of them do. And I think that's going to be a big sell for you, and it's not expensive.
For sure. I think that started helping us this year already. If I remember Eldon Brower.
Oh, yeah.
He's come back from ASU, and he's actually playing this year with us. And then a lot of the guys that we grew up with playing are the same thing, that are in the military or firefighters. So the program helps us a lot with a lot of our recruiting. It really does. That's one of the things that I've picked up some good players that Weber was working on. J.D. Baker, some of those guys that basically, again, you'd love to say you were out recruiting hard, but he comes to me last season and just says, you know what, your school has what I want. If I can get into class, I'm playing for you. So, they live right next to Weber's campus. So it is good. The school is a great school, and that's kind of been a learning part for me as well on this recruiting part is learning you're recruiting the school before hockey, which is,
you really
is new
have
to
to
me. So
that was a weird part. That was like my first grown-up decision is I still had a year left of eligibility in club, and I would just plan on playing another year at Weber. And I realized, wait a minute, I have to go to the U to get my EMT because I'm going to be a firefighter. I already had stuff from Weber, but I had no intention of going to the U. And I realized, oh man, I got to make a grown-up decision here and actually go to school for school. And I transferred over and then played for a season at the U. And it was like, it was hard at first because I had a lot of Weber State pride, and then all the Weber guys hated me when they played against me. But yeah, like when the school comes first, as it should, because there's a purpose for going to school, right? It's not just to play club hockey.
Yeah.
And man, you guys, that's what I would do if I were you. I'd go after every kid that wants to be a firefighter that's a hockey player, because there's a ton of those.
And
there's
they're
some
hard
of that
workers,
camaraderie.
so
yeah,
that's a bonus too. You get those military guys or firefighters.
Yeah.
They work hard, and that's something that's great. So
yeah, that's awesome. So tell me about, let's talk about last year a little bit, because we covered you on the weekly updates, and we talked about, and I call you every week or text you every week to see how things are going.
Yeah.
And you were like, I noticed there were double-digit games, and then there were some that you guys were in, like right down to the third period. And isn't that what happened this year too? Like with BYU, weren't you guys?
Yep.
It was a close game till the third period, right?
Yeah, we've. I think a lot of this team is there's kind of in a way, there's a black cloud that floats over a lot of our veterans and our leaders. I think they just expect to lose. They're used to it after a couple of years, and so that's been our biggest focus is trying to change our culture and our mindset. We're trying to get the mind where it needs to be. I mean, we have the talent. These guys can play hockey, and they never quit. Our last trip this last weekend, we got asked back to Colorado, even though we took a couple lumps there. We got lucky. We ended up putting DU into overtime and lost in overtime,
so that was cool.
which was great. And I think a lot of that, I talked to the guys about it after we came back. We do a weekend recap on what we thought happened. And I think the reason they play so strong in a game like that is just being in that facility where they've won 8 NCAA titles. And just the atmosphere there, just walking into that building and being able to play there was so huge. It was a different team. Like it's all mindset right now, and then we've got 14 rookies now, so it's a young team, 14 freshmen that we've built, and I think just trying to put everything together. But yeah, it's definitely a mind game with us. It's 1 minute we're doing good, and then 1 minute we're not, and then 1 minute we're back to where we're supposed to be doing good, and so just the struggle of trying to get that discipline down that we need to finish 60 minutes of hockey.
Evan, have you been on teams like that just things didn't go well at the beginning of the year or whatever, and you lose a couple games, and then maybe the mindset changes, and you think...
Oh, yeah. It's tough. Perfect example of that is my freshman year at Vermont. That was kind of the tail end of the big hazing scandal they had, where it kind of hurt the hockey program, and we didn't win we were the last team in Division I to get a win, and it was our last game before Christmas. And then once we kind of got that win, we kind of started up. The second half was much better. And then you go to the next year, at one point we were ranked, I think, 3rd in the country. So, I mean, it's just, once you hit that point where, we actually can win, or we can poke a few goals
Absolutely.
in there. And it just kind of builds and builds and builds. But when you're in that kind of funk or rut, it's tough to see the light, and it's tough to see out of that.
And players almost are self-destructive at that point. They don't have hope, or they overcompensate. You'll have a D pinch to cover somebody else because, we're up 2-1. I'm going to help this guy not make a mistake and then leave his side open. You just have that, those
Exactly.
calamity of errors. Yeah. But And that kind of sucks that your first one came at Christmas, because like right before Christmas. Because then if you go on a break, you could lose that momentum too.
For us, it was more like finally,
Yeah.
like we could enjoy Christmas.
Enjoy the break.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've seen that with teams. You see that even in the NHL with some teams, and some people are talking about Toronto right now and their mindset. And I saw Ovechkin kind of chirped them about mindset a little bit. But yeah, so that's just one of those. It's just another hurdle you got to come over.
Yeah.
And then, how many guys do you have from last season back this season?
I think there's 7, if I remember right. I think we got 7 because we got 14 new guys and we have a roster of 25 and 2 goalies.
Wow.
And both goalies are new to the program, and then 14 new, and then the rest are returning. I was going to kind of backtrack a little bit, but on that first comment, you were talking about that first year and how you cycle through players. We went through 17 players that first year I took over that quit, and then knew we'd have to fill in spots with new guys that would come.
That's tough.
That was a huge turnover. So
Speaking of Manic, that was one of them, right?
Yeah, he played with us.
Manic left, and Hunter Swinson left, and because you had a bunch of guys that maybe didn't even try the school part of the whole deal.
I think that's the biggest thing. That's one of the things, like I say, I've learned as coaching college hockey is how important the school is. So, in fact, this year we dedicate a Wednesday. Every Wednesday we do study hall. We finally, we've progressed with the help of a team manager, and our school is really backing us up. We talk to John Eccles a lot, and a lot of these other, I talk to Yosh and those guys, and we're getting a lot of support from our school that people are excited about. But they're helping us. We've actually got a locker room now at Peak, so we have our own locker room that we're able to store our gear in and stay in, which is nice. But it's just it's a big part of the program is the school, and so our big focus is making sure we don't lose players to grades. I think that's where I lost most players is through grades, my son included. If you don't follow through with grades and you don't keep up, then you're ineligible for the next season, and it really hurts the program. I think
when you think about it, you're like, all right, isn't it a 2.0 or is it a 2.5?
Yeah, 2.0.
2.0. So that's like a D? That's a C average.
C. Yeah. You basically just got to go to school.
Yeah. And I get it. And it's funny because sitting where I'm at now as a parent, you're like, how do you not get a 2.0? But when I was in school, there were a lot of I saw how the kids weren't getting 2.0. I wasn't one of them. Because when I finally got into college, I took it serious. Getting into college and going through high school, maybe a 2.0 would have been a stretch for me because there were times I was more focused on being on the radio than I was on going to school. I didn't realize I didn't plan for college, or I didn't plan to be 30.
Yeah,
you just live in the moment, right? And so you can kind of see how they just wanted to play hockey. They didn't want to go to college. So that as a guy coming out of those programs, you know who those best players are. You're like, I know who the best junior Grizzlies were. I know who the best Renegades were.
Absolutely. That
are not playing college already. I'm going to go get them. And then you find out, they never really wanted to go to college.
Exactly.
But they wanted to play hockey. Yeah. So, and that's tough because it's just one of those pitfalls that you'll fall into the first couple of years. And we struggled with that a ton at Weber the first couple of years. And we had a kid from Michigan that was here for the military, who was like one of our best players, and he got to the point where he would just toy with other guys. We've talked about it on the show before. He would literally pass the puck to the guy on the other team so he could hit him. Like the guy be coming to, and it would confuse the guy. Like the guy's coming to get him is Mike. I always want to say Maslowski, but isn't that the guy from
Monsters
Inc? It's
Mike
Wazowski. It's Mike. It's something like that. I should know because I played hockey with him, but that was a long time ago. But he would they'd be coming at him to defend him, and then he'd pass him the puck. And they'd look down and be like, what just happened? And then just get lit up by this guy. But, he only lasted one semester, or quarter back then. So it is tough. That's just another pitfall that you fall into with hockey is grades at this level.
For sure.
Yep. So where are you doing your recruiting? Where are all these 14 new kids from?
A lot of them are high school. We've got a lot of in-state players, and then we go to the WSHL showcase. I've been down there for the last 2 years in Vegas, right before Christmas.
That's so much fun.
It is, and it's they really treat those college coaches like and the scouts like they're something special, which was kind of fun. But you go down there and they give you they'll let the head coach come in. They pay for your room, give you a little bit of money for travel to help. They feed you. Yeah, they actually. I mean, it ain't a lot, but they give you a $300 check to.
You need an assistant coach for
right
December? Okay.
That's about the only pay we get is that little trip to Vegas. But that's good too. You know, they give you a book that has like every player in the WSHL. Shows you their grade point average, shows you, you know, their age, if they're aging out. So obviously, like I said, you know, when you're building a program, you gotta have goals that you can accomplish. Like, you know, it's going to be a struggle knowing to go out there and try to pick up one of the top guys on a top team is going to be hard if you don't have something to really offer them. So a lot of things, you know, that we look for is you know, whether it's grades somewhere we can get them into school, whether it's you know, somebody that's aging out that might not have an offer somewhere else that might be excited to continue their career and play.
Yeah.
So those are a lot of things, but mostly from that, and then being lucky to have the Ogden Mustangs here and the Outliers. We go to their games and talk to players and opposing teams. So, but most of our recruiting has actually been through high school. I mean, that's where we find the most guys that are interested in continuing to play at the club level for the ACHA is the younger high school kids that are, you know, wanting to go to college and still play. So
yeah, that's cool because I want everybody here to be. I want these programs to be great programs, and I want them to go and just destroy all the other teams. I root for every Utah team, right? That's the benefit of being where we're at now is I can just hope that you guys do well, but I also want those rosters to be full of Utah kids.
Yeah,
like to me that's the most important thing. And I don't live in a dream world. I don't expect 100% Utah kids out of Utah high schools to go out there and be competitive. I get that you've got to go out and get some more depth because high school hockey here definitely has a purpose, but it's not necessarily to put kids into even ACHA.
For sure.
You've got to get those travel team kids, and those travel team kids usually want to go play juniors in the WSHL. And that's cool. I mean, that's a great opportunity. And you mentioned the Mustangs, man, because as part of the coaching staff with the Mustangs and being there and seeing those guys come recruit our players, it's got to be tough because we had guys being recruited by Division I, Division II, NCAA.
Yeah.
And which is unique for the WSHL, but Jake's managed to put players into NCAA Division I and a ton in Division III, and then ACHA Division I. So you really got to. It's like when you go into you're flirting with girls or whatever. That beautiful was it the Beautiful Mind, or he's like, all right, I'm not going after the hottest blonde, but I'm going to go after that second one. Yeah. You got to know who's going to actually look at you. So you're not, the same thing. You don't want to waste their time, and you hope they don't want to waste your time. So, most of those guys when you go recruit, they'll tell you, yeah, they're interested, but and then some of them you don't hear back from. I try to keep in touch with them and follow their seasons throughout our season as well. Like if I talk to somebody from the WSHL, I'll try to continue talking through them, through email. I know they're busy and bussing, and just see how things are going. And we've actually last year, we was able to pick up a couple guys from that. And the crazy thing is, two of the guys we picked up from that were Utah locals as well. I mean, we had Devin Bain, goaltender, who was a phenomenal goaltender that played for the Cheyenne Stampede, and we actually recruited him down there. And it's bad, I should know this, but I didn't even know he was from Vernal. So he came to trials. He's like, yeah, I'm from Vernal. I'm like, I didn't even know. So, but we got him, and then Alex McCloskey came and played with us for a year, which was good to have before he moved to Florida. But yeah, it's definitely a battle. That's the hardest part, is finding what you want. So one of the things I've learned is it seems almost like they kind of find you almost too. If somebody wants to go to that school, they'll look out for you too. So you just got to make sure that everybody knows, that you're out there and you're always looking. So how do they find you? So let's say that we've got somebody listening to this right now that's trying to locate you, and they want to play at UVU. What's the easiest way to get a hold of you?
My name shows up, I think, on the Facebook page. Our Facebook and I think they have an Instagram too. Yeah. I'm not real savvy on a lot of the updated stuff. I do the Facebook, but they've got some stuff out there, and then I know that they're working on a web design right now for us to get up going, but I know that my information's on a few of those, so anybody can message me direct through Facebook as well, or they can contact the school. I've actually had the club's office. People will contact clubs, and Alex Gebers is our club representative in there. He does a great job, but he'll send me emails or whatever with people on there that want to play. So we've actually got a couple guys this year that went to clubs and just said, I didn't know we had a hockey program. But there's people in the school that didn't even know we have a hockey program. So they're finally putting us in the review and stuff, and getting our name out there. But that's how it's easiest to find me, is through the Facebook page.
There's got to be more hockey players than that. I mean, isn't there like 35,000 students, or do you know how big UVU is?
I think it was at 38,000.
38,000
right, last season.
Yeah, so there's got to be more hockey players in there. The that just probably don't know, like you're saying.
For sure. Our other goalie that we picked up for last year too, David. He was a David Gumont was a phenomenal goaltender as well. That's how they found him. The guys just wearing their jackets in school, and I think it was Andrew Piper was walking down the hall and seen some kid wearing a jacket from back east somewhere, and he's like, "You play hockey?" And he's like, "Yeah, I play goalie." He's like, "You're kidding me." Kid came down, was a phenomenal goaltender. I mean, he helped us out a lot. Fortunately for us, talking about the school thing, he transferred to the U because that's where he wanted to get his education.
Oh, right.
So he's not even playing hockey anymore, but lost a good goaltender because of schooling.
He's not even the U's desperate for a goalie right now.
Yeah, I don't know. He's working on becoming a official. So he's doing officiating games and stuff, but he said he's done with the hockey. So I did my work trying to keep him here, so it didn't work.
Well, it's got to be good too. Like you mentioned Piper. That dude, he's always about it on Facebook. Every time I see him, he's pumping the team, pumping the club, and just always promoting. It's got to be good to have players like that too, that are, they go out and do such a great job at promoting the team too, and try to get fans in the building, and it's
for sure.
That's good.
For sure, yeah. He loves the game. There's no doubt about it. So he'll do anything to help better the team, and he's actually come a long way just in the couple years that he's been here, like as far as leading and roles and just, he had his knee finally fixed after dealing with that. So he looks a lot better this year. I think he had a 10-point weekend or a 9-point weekend this last weekend. So
wow.
He's probably one of our top assist guys, so he's definitely can move the puck well, But yeah, he's good. Brady Fisher's really good. I mean, a lot of these guys, like you say, that we grew up coaching. We've got both Fisher brothers are on there now, and I'm just trying to think. There's so many that we grew up watching, and that's kind of one of the fun things with coaching too. Is you go play against Weber, you go to these other places, and you see all these kids that you've coached in the past.
Yeah.
And it's just a big friendly reunion at the end of the game. Obviously, during the game, there's a lot of grudge and that, and you play hockey, but it's neat to see everybody's success, like you say. I mean, that's definitely what's the funnest part is to watch them.
I love that now, and I love, and that's the coolest thing is I went to a BYU Weber game, and it's so much fun to see those kids that I coached on both sides, and then same with Utah State. I mean, we've lost a couple of them to, a couple years in. We had some really smart kids that hockey was their hobby, but it wasn't their passion. And maybe it even was their passion, but they were so smart with everything else they were doing that they get absorbed into the education, and they don't have time for hockey. That even happened at the NCAA level with the two kids that we had that went to the military academies to play hockey. They didn't finish their seasons because those are hard schools, and they're like, man, I'm a nuclear engineer major. I don't have time to go to hockey practice every day. Yeah. I got to figure out how to keep the sub from exploding or whatever. That's too smart for me. I don't know what they do, but they do stuff, right? You have nuclear powered subs.
Maybe. I don't know.
They didn't have those at Vermont?
No.
But anyway, it's just one of those things where you're right. It's so much fun to watch these guys grow up, become men, and now I'm actually starting to see some of the other part of it. And one of our next interviews is a guy that I watched grow up, play at the U, and now he's coaching U14s.
That's cool.
And it's so cool to watch, like we were talking about before. You grow up, and then you give back.
Absolutely.
And it's fun to see the kids start doing that. So what's next for you guys? When's your next games? This weekend?
We have this weekend off, and then we head to Montana to play Providence, which is a really good team. So we're excited. We love the challenge. We've been working hard and focused on a lot of discipline, so I think we'll be able to give them a good run for their money.
Do you have wins yet this year?
We've got 3. We won Western Colorado twice. And then we won the semi-pro game with the new Blizzard team. So,
the Blizzard.
But that was our first kind of like our season opener, just a good exhibition game with some of the guys. A lot of those guys played for UVU back in the day, and a lot of old BYU players. So it's kind of like an old alumni team of of old hockey players. So
I think it was the Blizzard. I saw some video of them, and it was just fights.
That was their California trip this last weekend, right?
Yep. Maybe that's all that made it to Facebook, but that's all I saw were like a couple cheap shots and then a fight and then a cheap shot and then a fight. I think, yeah. Well, cool. Well, that's awesome, man. We're excited. I've been wanting to hear the story and see what's going on over there, and we're going to start the weekly updates next week, I think. So we'll be looking for video and highlights, and we'll be talking about you guys and seeing how you're doing. We're rooting for you, like I said, and hope everything goes well.
Yeah, well, thank you. No, we looking forward to it too. So,
and so if you're looking for a way to get a hold of Darin, did you have any questions? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah, sure. I guess with Arizona, kind of, I guess moving up to D1 into NCAA, do you think UVU could have that potential in the future, or would there be a want to even do that? Or
there's been a lot of talk floating around UVU.
Yeah.
In the last few years about that. So, according to the main guy at the school there that's over it all, they have thought about it at one time or another. Obviously, that's something that will be years down the road, but it's definitely a goal that we would like to have. We would like to eventually try to move up to D1, but we're on like a 3 to 5 year plan right now just to try to get us competitive, to where we can compete at the D2 division and see where we're at. So, but down the road, I think there's a big possibility. They own land still down there by Linden. They've said that if they had the right sponsors and donors, they could, put an ice rink in. There's actually an ice rink on campus right now. Well, they're plumbed to put an ice rink on at UVU. They can actually put an ice rink in that where they play basketball. So there's a lot of potential there, but I don't know how soon it would actually happen. But it has been talked about, dealing with their marketing agent in a few of the school meetings I've been to, that there's a chance. But I think the big thing is the millions of dollars that
you got to find that right alumni guy that's got some money to throw at the. You got to find your Ralph Engelstad who can throw a ton of money at it and build a building and.
But put the scholarship money in. I feel like UVU has the most potential as far as if we can get the program going proper like we're working on. I think that's the biggest thing is the structure. But I think that we have opportunity that a lot of schools don't, where our school's backing us so much, and just the open enrollment and the campus size and all that. There's a lot of potential there. So. Definitely, it's in our mind, but it's kind of in the back of the mind right now.
Make sure to do it the right way. So
yeah, absolutely. Take our time, and if we can't compete at the top division that we're in right now, then obviously we'll keep working until we can get there. But
yeah, and what people don't see often is Arizona State had a club team for 30 plus years before they made that jump, and they had the coach that was in there plugging away, and then they had a guy that came through Arizona State, and then became super rich. He played hockey while he was there, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna put money to back this up," and that's what it takes sometimes. That's what happened with Penn State also. That's how they went, as they had some alumni get together and throw the money in there, because you have to have the money in an account to cover scholarships for the entire team for 5 years. Or there's a weird algebra equation. So
another NCAA rule.
Yes, it's another NCAA rule. To join it, you have to have so much money in an account that covers all these scholarships, out-of-state scholarships for these athletes. You have to prove that you can keep that money in an account to keep that team viable, and then they'll let you go. And it's happened, and we do have other teams trying. I know the University of Utah is trying hard for it. Weber State seems to be set up for it. I don't know how much support they have for it, but man, a rink right on campus,
which is one of the requirements for NCAA. You have to have a rink on campus. So.
Is there like a seating capacity?
I'm not sure about that. I just know you got to have a rink on campus right there.
There can't be, because ASU has that place only holds like 750.
And they still have like a Division I, Division II, and Division III teams still, I believe, if I remember right. And now they're NCAA. So I mean, their program's definitely strong, and I know I've been able to meet their coach that used to coach their D2 team, and I know they get paid pretty well. They're some of the only coaches I know that actually get paid, but they're up there in the $50,000-$60,000 range making money. So their program's definitely, but they've got a lot of people, like you say, the supporters, the people putting money in that help, and that's at the end of the day, that's what makes everything turn. So
and then you got a guy like Kiyoshi that's been coaching for 25 years and probably spending $20,000-$30,000 a year out of his own pocket.
that's exactly
to make those trips and be eligible. Well, that's cool, man. And again, like, I'm just excited to catch some games. I haven't seen any yet. I've streamed a couple. Tegan and I have watched a couple of the Weber games because they stream them.
Yeah.
And we're able to watch them on Facebook. I can watch them from the firehouse and see, and that's fun. And so, but I just love watching the games, and hopefully, if you're listening and you haven't checked it out yet, or if you're at Utah Valley or you want to go to Utah Valley, reach out to Darin. You can find him on their Facebook page. You can email us here at the show, or on our Facebook, and we'll help you get set up, because we'd like to see as many good players end up there as possible. And I'd like to see like everybody elevate and keep elevating, because that's what's happened. The hockey they're playing now is way better than the hockey that they were playing when I was in school. There's no way I'd make one of these clubs now.
Yeah, they're definitely pushing us. They want us to follow the NCAA guidelines and rules is what they're trying to push for, and trying to make ACHA a lot more, competitive with that. That's also one of our struggles is, with club hockey, these guys they're going to school and they're trying to work if you're traveling 3 or 4 weekends and you got games, these guys are trying to pick up work whenever they can because they're paying their dues and everything else. It's a hard task. And I think that's why it's such a head game in a lot of the aspects. So that's one of my focuses as a coach is just make sure that outside of hockey they're getting the support they need to. I mean, it's crazy to see so many of these young kids struggling, with finances and work, and they're still trying to play the game they love. And so I think that's a big part of it that it would be nice to. So if you're looking to sponsor UVU as well,
if you're looking to sponsor,
we're open to any offers on sponsorships. We have some packages out now as well and things. So
how do you guys do boards in the rink, or do you do a program, or all of that?
We do. They've been working on the program, and then they've got a banner up right now that they put them on, and then we've got a phenomenal announcer. Piper's brother is just he's awesome at announcing, and we give shout outs, and then we just started a YouTube channel. We got to get enough followers to go like UVU hockey, and then once we get enough, we'll start streaming our games on that as well. But you have to have over 1,000 followers to do it. So. And then we've been doing some. I actually, again, talking about Yosh and them, I've actually been spending some money and bought some cameras and stuff so we can do that to get our name out there. But
that's awesome. Yeah, put one of those students, make those students just run that social media to death. Because man, you put those guys in charge of it and let them run it. It's amazing. You can make any program look like an NHL program if you have the right kid running your social media.
For sure.
And there's got to be some kid that's majoring in that and.
We've got a marketing director right now, Brindley, that's doing it. So finally, this is the first year, but we finally are getting things set up. But now we have a GM, marketing director, so we're getting there. We're taking the steps. It's definitely grown somewhere in the last 2 years. It's grown a lot, so we're excited for the future.
Perfect, man. Go. Well, it sounds like you guys are doing the right stuff, and like I said, we're excited to watch it. And really, that's it. Unless you have anything else you want to add?
No, thanks for having me. Nice
Darin,
seeing you guys.
Thanks for taking the time. I know you got to drive forever and ever to get out here to downtown Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Are you still doing taxidermy? Is that your business?
I am. Yep. So that's the struggle for me. Taxidermy starts the same time as hockey season, so it's double duty for a few months. So, but yeah,
burning the candle all night. All right. Well, Evan, thanks for coming out for this one.
It's good to be back.
Well, it's good to have you out. And I guess that's it for the Utah Puck Report.